to write down our presenter's name.
Derek Sikkema. D-E-R-E-K-S-I-K-K-E-M-A. All right. So, as you can see from the thing up there, my name is Derek Sikkema. I'm an author, and I want to ask something that I just get really curious about when I come to do these things. Did your presenter last period, did he say how old he was, perchance? Oh, she. Can you make maybe a ballpark guess as to how old she was?
About
35. 35? I ask that because I get really curious about I get curious as to see whether I'm the youngest person at these things. I'm a few weeks away from being 17 years old. I'm just going into my senior year in high school. I wrote this book when I was in freshman year. And so I've been working for the next last 2 years on working on the second one. So yeah, let's get this thing started. Here are a couple copies of my book if you guys are curious as to what it looks like.
Can we get a copy?
There are some copies in the library. So if you want to check it out and read it, I'm going to tell you about pretty much what it's about. So Ruin America, The Exodus of Richard Braxton is a dystopic, sort of post-apocalyptic type science fiction novel. You ever read The Hunger Games? It's kind of like that. It's basically Congress has taken over. It's pretty dark. Congress has taken over. A lot of people died. Not many people left. Basically, the story centers on this group of kids led by this person named Richard Braxton. They learn that Congress is going to go send people around the entire nation to kill people like them who are homeless. And so they embark on this journey across this country where there are dangers at every turn, and they have to encounter all these different things as they travel from northern Michigan to Los Angeles, where the Alliance is, the good guys, to take them away from this evil place. So yeah, it's a story about a journey. Pretty nice if you're curious in reading it. But this book taught me a lot about dedication and determination and education. A lot of shins. A lot of different qualities that I like to take to heart and would like to share with you today. So I'm going to tell you the story of how I wrote it, and I'm going to tell you from the very beginning, the very, very beginning. So let's get started. First thing you need to know about me personally is that I suffer from an overactive imagination. I'm constantly struggling to remain in the moment, to sort of think about what's exactly around me and think about what's physically around me, because when I go for a walk, my mind is always wandering towards another world or another different environment, another place. And there are some repercussions of that, such as I'm almost 17 years old and I still can't sleep in the dark. My mind is constantly thinking of what could be out there. I don't know, what could be in my closet. My mind just works that quickly. My mind imagines that quickly. It's always working on the next beat, the next story, the next thing that could happen. So because of that, I did not really have a social life growing up. I was the kind of kid who played by himself on the playground. I would imagine things, imagine my own stories, and act it out, which as a result has made me what I think is a pretty good actor. But at that time, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to be when I was in elementary school, so at recess, I wouldn't play sports with the other kids. I would go off and run around and jump and prance in the meadow of wherever I was. But I had some stories that I made up. I started off ripping off other people's ideas, frankly. Do any of you know who this is?
Calvin.
Spaceman Spiff. I had Spaceman Sam. He was sort of my imaginary friend, hero type person that I would go on adventures with. I'm sure all of you know what this is. Yeah, I had the fourth book written, if you will. I had sort of a fourth installment to the story as to what happened in between two of the books. How many of you know who this is?
Naruto.
I had about 100 new Naruto characters made up with their own stories and their own adventures, their own plot lines, their own powers. Then I started to come up with my own ideas. The first one was still kind of a borderline ripoff. It was a Jazzy story about a pretty simple sea serpent loose in Lake Washington. People have to go out and find it, kill it, or take it down. Then I got a little more creative. I thought of an idea for a mad scientist who experiments on people to morph their genes with that of plants, turning them into these like powerful hybrids, whatever you want to call them, I don't know. My last idea before I started writing Ruined America was an idea called Solar Wars, which is humanity has branched off into 3 different races. They spread out across the cosmos and they go to war. So how did I start writing? Well, I started off like this. I was like, yeah, we're going to go out there, I'm going to prove to people how great I am, how talented I am, I'm going to get friends, I'm going to get people to like me, I'm going to accomplish things, I'm going to be talented, this is going to be great, it's going to be awesome. And I realized it's harder than I thought it was. Things started to slow down, things started to become quite difficult, until eventually I got really frustrated with my writing because it was a lot harder than I thought it was. I didn't know I had the big things planned out. I didn't know what all the little things were though. So what did I do? I paid attention in English class. What? Right? But I actually paid attention because we were in this unit at this time, learning about what a good story is. So I went to class and I paid attention and I got educated. And we're going to get back to the importance of education in a different slide. But I went back to the story, so I went back and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go out there and I'm write, and I was ready. So I started writing Exodus. And as I was writing, I started to get the idea that I wanted to publish it. And I got really excited when I learned about this cool thing called self-publishing. And I'm going to introduce you to that in a little bit. When I learned about self-publishing, I was very happy. The actual process of the book, we edited for logic, made sure things flowed smoothly, made sure things made sense. Then we edited for word choice, made sure it sounded good, made sure the sentences flowed, because we wanted it to be a good book. Conventions. Where does this period go? Where does this comma go? Where does this space go? It's torture. But I made a mistake. And that mistake was that I went back and edited for word choice when we were in the convention stage, which kind of screwed it up because it kind of nullified the convention stage, which was just because there were words changed, there were periods changed, so they needed to make sure that things worked correctly. I did not make this amazing cover. My mom's friend did. It was, and when we both saw it, we were blown out of the water by how it actually looked. So how does someone write a book? I'm sorry, what? Someone say something? No? All right. How does someone actually write a book? Well, you gotta write. And I know that makes a lot of you want to do this. Because when you think of writing in middle school, you think intro paragraphs. You think body paragraphs. You think conclusion paragraphs, topic sentences, thesis statements, yada, yada, yada. But I'm here to tell you that when you write, all you need is an idea. It's all you need. English classes kind of make it out like writing is this structured, formatted thing, and that's the only way that you can write. But that's not true. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to edit if you don't want to. If you're going to give your work to Scholastic or something, or like the Disney publishers or something, maybe it needs to be edited. But if you're writing for self-publishing or you're writing for yourself, all you need is an idea. It doesn't have to. Who cares if that period's in the right place? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's you in the book. And that's why self-publishing is so cool. So what is self-publishing? Well, you write a book. They give you some options and some restraints. and they can't reject you. That's the best part. That's what separates self-publishing from Scholastic and Disney. Because they can reject you. They can say this book isn't good enough, go home. Self-publishing can't reject you, and because it's all pretty much online. Anyway, they give you some formats, some tools. You guys settle money, how much everything is going to cost. You guys settle distribution, where the book is going to go, and you're done. Your book is published. You have your own ISBN number and everything. At least that's how it worked on Lulu.com, which is the website that I use. I don't know if other self-publishers do it differently. There's a lot of them out there, but I use Lulu, and that's how it worked there. Now I'm going to teach you guys about the Kindle. Let me tell you. Kindle is so simple. It's one of the coolest ways to get your work out there is. The weakness is that it's not physical. You can't hold the Kindle in. You can hold the Kindle in your hand. You can't hold the book in your hand. So it's only accessible to people who have the Kindle app or the Kindle itself. But you go to Amazon, okay? You go to Amazon. You upload your file. You guys settle money, how much everything's going to cost. And in half an hour, you're done. Any file. And you can upload any file. You can upload a 2.5-page work about you eating pizza. And they can't reject it. But the best part about that is it's your idea. It's you writing about eating pizza. It's you. That's the coolest part about writing. All right. Now we're going to talk about education. Through money. The question that people ask me a lot is, how much have I made on this book? This book has been published for about 2 years, and I've probably made about $1,500. Which sounds like a lot to you guys, but I'm going to ask you guys a little question here. What do you guys think? Raise your hands, shout it out, I don't care, I want your input. What do you guys think $1,500 is going to get you?
Not very much.
Not very much. Car,
Probably some clothes and shoes and stuff.
clothes and shoes and stuff. You guys are pretty smart.
He's
Yeah.
gonna pay.
Basically general needs. That's
That's actually, yeah.
He's gonna pay his little.
Actually, you're going to learn that that world is a lot more expensive than you think it is. A car doesn't usually cost around $1,500. A car usually costs around $15,000. And a house, getting your own house and buying your own house is going to cost probably about 5 times that. If that. The world is expensive. And writing isn't going to pay for it. Unless you're willing to devote the time and the energy and the work, and you're willing to live as like a waiter, which I don't know how attractive that sounds. I mean, maybe there's someone out there who really wants to be a waiter. I'm not trying to offend you. But unless you want to work like that, to get to the point where you can be like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, I mean, and they write incredibly. So you have to get to that point if you want to be a self-sustaining writer. So if you're going to write, most people, they need a backup plan. They need something to do in the meantime. At this point, I'm going to, my plan right now is probably to go into history or law or politics or something in that area. And you need to have a plan to get educated in something. Go to college, because your life isn't going to be very good if you just plan on writing. Either you're going to, I don't know, I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But your life isn't going to be very good if you just focus on writing. So you need to go to get an education, have a backup plan. So what was the hardest part about writing this book? My own drive and determination. I get that that sounds really weird, because that sounds really contradictory. Aren't drive and determination usually the things that push you to be better, right? But see, the weekend when I wrote this book, it was sunny, it was shiny, it was glorious outside. It was incredible. I could have gone outside, I could have played with my friends. Instead, I spent the entire weekend in my dad's basement working on getting this book published, every minute. And I worked myself to exhaustion. And that Monday, I didn't go to school. I got sick. I got sick from working too hard, frankly. I got physically sick because I worked too hard. Take everything in moderation, guys. Everything. Because even work can make you sick. My one regret, and this is my biggest regret ever, it's my biggest regret, is that I didn't spend enough time on it. I didn't spend enough time on the book. I'll talk about it in a little bit. Hardest part physically was word choice. It made me want to do this, frankly. But now we're going to go back. This slide doesn't work. I'm so disappointed because it was such a great slide. But we're going to go back and we're going to talk about time. Hopefully in your middle school career, you're going to read a book by a woman named Harper Lee. The book is called To Kill a Mockingbird. You've read it? All right. Something you didn't know about that book, Harper Lee worked for 6 years before she had a manuscript she was happy to publish. I wrote this book in 9 months. And it's a pretty good book. It's a decent book. The story's good. It's written kind of poorly. But if I had spent 2 more years on it, think about how much better it would have been. The amount of time that you put into anything is going to equate how good it is on the other side. So, remember that for everything. Time equals greatness. What about the next book? Just for you, if you're curious, I've written it, and I'm taking my time to edit it. I had it finished written by last summer, but I've been noodling it and editing it, and I'm taking my time. Because and the book is already so much better than this book was. Because I'm putting the time into it. Now people ask me, why do I write? Because when I write, I have my own world. When I write, and this is why, frankly, I resent the large publishing companies like Scholastic, like Disney, because when you send a manuscript into them, here's what they're going to do. They're going to take it, they're going to look at it, and they're going to say, cut this character, cut this scene, change this word, change this sentence. This character isn't evil enough, this character isn't good enough, this scene isn't dark enough, this scene isn't light enough. This is just a horrible book. Why would you ever write this? Take it home, send it home, go home, you're never going to write the rest of your life. Doesn't sound very nice to me. Doesn't attract me. Oh, yes?
What's it, training for qualifications?
I'm sorry, what?
What's qualification for training?
I would actually say that the book kind of was the training qualification in itself. A lot of this I learned on the go. Now, granted, as I said, I got some education from English class in how to write a good story, but that's probably about it in terms of qualification ahead of time. I was learning everything on the go. I have my own world. That's why I write, because I have my own world. It's my world, and I can control what happens. And that's also why I personally don't do outlines. I know all your teachers have said, outline your work, think about it ahead of time, plan it out. I don't do that. It's a personal choice. Because when I don't do outlines, I don't know what's up ahead. I don't know. There's so many things that I wrote into this book, I had no idea they were going to be there until I wrote the sentence that contains them. And that was so cool to me. My imagination flows like a river, to use a simile. I have fun doing it, and I have a little bit of talent, frankly. That's not necessary, though, to write. Anyone can write. What's my favorite part of writing a book? The shock value. Because when I just tell people that I'm 17, I've written a book, and I'm almost done with my second one, they can't believe it. Because when I tell them, a lot of people have been planning to write books, and they haven't, and they're 40. I stepped up to the challenge, and I learned a lot from this, and I'm pretty proud of it. So just a quick thing about myself, I'm a thespian, I enjoy acting. In particular, I enjoy dark acting, which is why my friends tell me I can do flawless impressions of these two. So I can do pretty good impressions of them.
Do it.
If there's time at the end. If there's time at the end. I'm also a self-professed nerd. I play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a dungeon master. I have my own adventures planned. I don't like spending all my time inside though, so I like getting out and playing soccer. I was on an indoor soccer team this past winter. And I like people because even though they frustrate me sometimes, even though sometimes our differences conflict, they make me happy. Are there any questions for me? Yes. Yeah.
Did you use any math signs or actions in math?
This is about the polar opposite of math and science. So I'm sorry, but if you're going into math and science, I mean, if you're going into math and science, that's a good fallback. That's a really good fallback. As I was talking about, it's a good backup plan to do while you're working on this. Anyway, other questions? I saw the hands up. Yeah.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Trek. Yeah.
Is there like in training or like education you need for this?
I had to get educated in how a good story works in order to get me through the original blockade that I had, where writing was just so frustrating because I didn't know how to write a good story. Yeah. Other questions? I'm pretty sure I saw their hands up. Yeah. Huh? Huh? Anyone can write a book. Anyone. A 4-year-old can write a book. I have a book on my shelf that's written by a 10-year-old. Yeah, anyone can write a book. And that's what's so cool about self-publishing, because it makes it that much easier for you and 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 all of you to go out and write a book. That's what's so cool about self-publishing. You can do it. And they can't say no. Again, you can write a book about picking your nose, and no one can reject it. Other questions? I'm pretty sure I saw their hands. No? All right, then we're going to do a quick thing. We have a little bit of time, so... One second, the slide is not working. Okay. So there's that. I could just... There we go. Alright, so I'm going to teach you about this thing called the hero's journey that really helped me to start writing. If we have some time afterwards, I'm going to do a little activity as I go along. But we're going to have to do the activity quickly. So the very first thing in the hero's journey that I learned is the setting. You need to have someone somewhere, just someone somewhere. Like a hobbit in Middle-earth, or Batman in Gotham City. So we're going to pretend really quickly, I'm going to have to speed through this, I'm sorry. But we're going to pretend really quickly that we are writing a book. We're a group of people who are coming together to write a book for some people. So what's a setting that our book could have? What? Atlantis. All right, our book is set in Atlantis. I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to go with the first idea. Then there's the call to adventure. Someone says to the hero, you need to wake up because there's something evil threatening your world. There's the One Ring, or the Joker, or Bane, or Voldemort. He's threatening your world, he's evil, he's doing bad things. You need to stop him. So in Atlantis, yes.
Justin Bieber's the evil guy.
Okay. Justin Bieber is...
They're king of the world. By his horrible singing.
Yes.
Are people alright with that? Is anyone offended by that?
No.
No.
Okay, good. Because I would like.
Alright. Then Justin Bieber is threatening Atlantis. Justin Bieber is threatening Atlantis with his horrible singing. I don't know. So then the hero has to go through training. So he has to learn how to fight or how to do what he needs to do. He has to battle the assassins, learn how to do magic, or climb out of the hole. So what's some training that our hero has to go through to fight Justin Bieber?
Beautiful singing.
I learned how to sing.
He
No.
learns. Okay.
Go through the whole
And
to learn how to
training with weapons.
He has to travel through the hole to learn how to sing.
Go on a magical journey.
climb to the
So that's
top.
just,
Climbs it with his tongue. All right. Descent into the abyss is the next step. Because before the hero can understand the light, he needs to understand the dark. He needs to experience something evil before he can experience something good. I'm going to fly through the rest of these, and then we can go back and finish. If we can go back and finish our story if there's time. The most important part of any story is death. That sounds really morbid, but death is the most profound thing that a hero can go through. Because before they can understand light, they need to understand death. Because death makes them question everything. It's the single greatest challenge that they can go through.
most important. Most important.
Then there's the return. The hero is not dead, or his friend is not dead. The hero himself doesn't have to die. It could be someone close to him. But he overcomes that obstacle, and he comes back from the darkness to claim what's rightfully his, and the last step is freedom to live. So,
Awesome.
freedom to live, the hero can decide what he wants to be, who he wants to be, and he has the freedom to choose where he wants to go. So if we could finish our story, so the next step was descent into the abyss. So how can our hero, who's using his tongue to climb through tunnels, to learn how to sing, how can he descend into the abyss?
His tongue gets cut off.
And it goes back.
I like his imagination.
He's attacked by terrible singing.
He's attacked by terrible. I like your imagination.
Why are these stars so...
All right, so his tongue gets cut off and he starts horrible singing. Then what about death?
After that, it goes back.
He dies when people say Spider Jeff dies.
All right, and then he.
Okay,
depressing.
hold on. All right, let's give Derek a huge round of applause.